Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Writer's Hive, where we chat bi-weekly about the writing and publishing process in the hopes of creating a hive mind with other writers. Today, we are going to be talking about Preptober, something that I think we all have experience with in different ways, and we're just going to share our top tips and tricks with you. Katlyn, do you want to start us off?
Sure. When it comes to Preptober, well, I guess we should probably explain what it is if someone doesn't know what it is. So during the month of November every year, there's an event called NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. And the month before, October, is usually referred to as Preptober, where writers sort of prepare in their own way the event coming up in November. So I have taken part in NaNoWriMo for many years, and I also sort of try to take part in Preptober when I can in my own way. So for me, any sort of prep that I can do, such as outlining or creating playlists or creating Pinterest boards, I really try to set myself up for success when it comes to writing at least 50,000 words in November. So I am a strict outliner. I always outline before writing my projects. So I will either do a narrative outline where I just basically write all of the big picture ideas for my story, or a chapter by chapter outline. It really just depends on how much time I have and how far I am in this project already. I do love to create playlists so that I build up this mood for myself when I sit down any day in November ready to write. Lately went toward a mix between lyrical and instrumental. I used to be strictly instrumental, but I find like every project changes with that. Having my outline and a playlist is usually my go-to when it comes to preparing myself for November.
Amber, do you have anything to add about your Preptober habits?
So I did NaNoWriMo the first time in 2010 or 2011. I can't remember the exact year. So at least 10 years. As is my writing journey, my Preptober, my prepping for Nano has dramatically changed between then and now. So the first time that I joined Nano, I actually heard about it probably 3 days before it started. And I thought, hey, I should try this. And I literally on day one just started writing. We've talked about that before in our self-publishing journey. That was a hot mess of a book, but it did get finished, which is great. And then the next year I prepped a little bit more. And then the next year, a little bit more, to where now I'm writing full outlines and doing research and really honing in on my characters a lot more. I didn't know anything that first year, nothing. I didn't know what I was writing about. I really had no idea. I was like, let's see what happens in vampire erotica is what came out of that, which is kind of odd that now I'm also writing a vampire book, but it is not erotica. But yeah, it's something that I've definitely grown and learned how to use October in the way that it was intended for Preptober. But I think that there's definitely a happy middle ground there for everybody. If you just find, if you have worked on books previously, just take kind of what you do for that and just do it the month before. Or if you're a new writer, you can use the time to research your genre, research your characters, research, read books about, story structure, do anything you can to really set yourself up to have it be a really successful NaNoWriMo month.
I absolutely agree. And I, like Kate, also make playlists, and I have Pinterest boards, which are really important to me in my process for writing. But outside of that, I want to talk about some other things that I think are really important to my personal Preptober, which is letting family and friends know what my goals are for November. I think that carving out that time for yourself is really important, and letting the people around you know what your goals are and what your expectations are for your, personal time to write and your focus is really important to having a successful month as well, especially if you have outside obligations, partner, children. It's also important to note that NaNoWriMo is typically a 50K during the month of November project. However, people have adapted it, and now they use it for rewrites, for edits, for a whole bunch of different things. It's not just necessarily drafting. So look at what it means to you. Don't feel like you need to rush being ready to draft. Use October if you want to finish a draft, and then in November set up editing goals. If you're somebody who is very goal oriented, maybe setting up a spreadsheet, whether it is a word count goal or a time spent on the book goal. Both of those can be really, really helpful to have before you start to keep you motivated and keep you going. And then I would also really recommend that you take a look at NaNoWriMo writing sprints. You can look at those on YouTube and find out who was sprinting last year. Maybe check out their channel, see if they're going to be doing it again, or if they have a contact, will you be doing sprints again this year? A lot of Nano is the community that surrounds NaNoWriMo, and the same can go for Preptober. So they have on their website different groups for states and counties. If you want to join those before November, that's a great thing to do. Introduce yourself to people. They do virtual write-ins. I think some people are probably going to go and start doing in-person write-ins as well. So whatever your comfort level is, start to network now to find writing buddies now. That can be a great motivator for you through November, and prepping that beforehand can be great. I know that I will be doing writing sprints through November as often as possible. We always do our Sunday night at 8 p.m., but we will probably be doing more than that. We like to try to do at least 2 a weekend during November whenever possible to bolster the sprint numbers that are out there for NaNoWriMo. We are far and away not the only people that do that. So you can start looking at channels now, maybe subscribing, clicking the notification bell so that you know when they start sprinting as well. All of those little steps that are not necessarily even related to your writing can really, I think, set you up for success, because all of those are things that helped me that if you're scrambling to do when you could be drafting or editing in November.
I wanted to jump off of the sprinting and what Julie was saying in terms of it's great to have it online and on YouTube and everything, but something that I used to do prior to COVID, and hopefully maybe this year we may do it again if the weather is okay. I used to go to, it was a local Panera near me, and I would just go with one of my writing friends, and we would set up for like 3, 4, 5 hours, and we would, eat a lot, sprint a lot. So if you know another writer or someone in your area, I know NaNoWriMo is fantastic about setting up regional groups. So you may be able to find a couple people that you can safely, if you can, even if you do Zoom sprints, you hook up with these people, you do Zoom sprints. I do Zoom sprints every day with my writer friends, and it's just having the NaNoWriMo spirit going forward is it's really infectious. And I think everyone is so excited to take part in this event. So I think more people are willing to open up their circles a little more to try to cheer each other on and take part in that. So I'd recommend, along with finding writing sprints here on YouTube, there's always sprints going on, especially in November. Try to find 1 or 2 writing buddies that you can do virtual or in person with as well.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to also jump off of what you both were talking about with the groups. So if you've never used the NaNoWriMo site, or if you just haven't really explored it, they have forums. And inside of the forums, they have the groups that are set up by region and everything. But then you can also find places to talk to other writers about just about any topic you want to. There's places where people give ideas for plot, for characters, for titles. There's just people that share the same interests that are writing the same genre. Like if you write YA, you can talk to other YA writers. If you write romance, etc. And then if you are someone that's not going to do day one draft, if you're doing editing, if you're doing anything like that, there's also a Rebel Lounge where it's the NaNoWriMo Rebels that are doing those other things like that. They're not just drafting. So you can find people that you can really relate to and can help you through the writing process, and maybe even find new friends to do Zoom meetings with, or something that's writing a similar genre that has the same struggles. When I first started doing Nano, I relied a lot on the forums to really get through. Now, not so much, because it's been 10 years, so I kind of understand how everything works. If you're new to it, I definitely recommend taking a couple of days and just digging through. There's people there that will cheer you on once you reach 50K. There's forums about what to do after you reach 50K, and you need to continue to get to the finish line, or you need to start editing. There's so much knowledge out there that I don't think enough people really utilize on their site.
I agree. And I think that it's a part of what we're trying to do here too, which is to create a community. And NaNoWriMo does a really great job at that. I know that there are people that say it puts too much stress on fast drafting, and that's not everybody's thing. That's totally fine. Again, I think it's just a really great tool for building habits, carving out time for your craft, and for being a part of the community as a whole. Do what feels right for you at the pace it feels right for you. Encourage you to do anything. It would be to be an active part of the community, whether that's online, in-person sprints, because a lot of these people will end up being critique partners or beta readers or writing friends or people that are at the same stage in their writing career that you might be at, that you can then talk to throughout the rest of your careers as you publish and move forward, and they can be a great resource for you. So that would be my advice. I absolutely 100% the playlists, and letting loved ones know that you're going to be working and doing your Pinterest boards and getting your outline ready, making sure that your space is like clean and efficient and your writing space works for you, feels creative for you, whether you treat yourself to a new set of pens or a new candle or whatever it is that makes that space feel really special for that time. I think all of those are great things, but also just really kind of dive in October. The forums are open all year round. So get in there and start, making some buddies so that when go time starts, you've got that support team cheering you on.
In terms of habits, as you were saying, like I was trying to think of things we could do in October, and there's one important piece of it. So if you are a writer who does not have a writing habit yet, October is a fantastic time to practice. So it's sort of like, if you're a professional athlete, you take a couple months beforehand to like really get into the groove. So if you are at all interested in taking part in NaNoWriMo, take October, take it maybe a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time. Try writing every day. See if you can build up your stamina in a sense for writing. Usually in November, I don't write every single day. I usually reserve a lot of it. I reserve my weekends for my family. So I do try to, sprint as much as I can during the week. And then there's Thanksgiving for people in the US. I would just take October to try to build up that habit as well, along with preparing your book. Maybe work on some writing prompts or some free writing or journaling, just so that, when November comes, it's not, okay, I have my outline, now what do I do type of thing. So it's definitely a fun event, and try not to feel too discouraged by it. It does happen every year. And also too, you can write in any other month other than November. I remember when I first started writing and I was working a full-time in a different position, I only wrote every November because I just didn't have the time. So definitely you can use this writing habit and use this as sort of a jumping off point for your own habits and future writing career.
Yeah, and another thing that I was just thinking of that could help you into understanding what you need when you write is try to sit down and write with nothing in front of you except for your laptop. No, like just blank space. And then as you start to do it and you've realized like, oh, I really wish that I had like a mug of coffee or a mug of tea, then, like put that on your list. Like in order to be successful and sit here and stay, I need that. Or if you want a snack, or like, oh man, I wish I had my notebook and pen so that I could write down extra little thoughts. Those things that you keep stopping for as you start with that blank space, then that those are things that would help you to be able to just sit down and go. So then when November comes, how to set up your space, exactly what you need. And then you can hopefully crank out words without having to get up and down too much. Unless you're drinking a lot of tea, then you might have to use the bathroom. And that's just, you have to do it.
You don't have to, but I would encourage you to. If you are trying to start your writing habits or kind of get into the flow, not everybody starts at word zero. So if you want to have a head start so that you know where your story is kind of going before November hits, the Worldwide Write-a-thon is at the end of October. I will be running sprints, which will be a fundraiser sprint that actually does support the NaNoWriMo website and their foundations. If you are interested, that will be going on. It's a great way to start meeting people. A lot of those people are treating that weekend as a Preptober weekend. So you'll be able to figure out who is and isn't participating in Nano, maybe meet a couple people. If you haven't had time to, check that one off your Preptober checklist, you could probably, I am certain you could come that weekend. There are sprints going on all weekend and meet a couple people that will be doing Nano that you could speak with as well.
And we definitely encourage you during these events. Julie and I and Amber have taken part in, I think, a couple rounds of Worldwide Write-a-thon. And I find if you are interested in finding those virtual buddies or in-person buddies, depending on where you are, the chat is a great place to meet other writers. Everyone is so super friendly. Everyone is just loving these events that they put on. And I bet you half of them are going to do NaNoWriMo as well. So definitely it's, I am an introvert, normally. So I do enjoy taking part in chats because there's really no pressure about anything like that. So I do recommend, if you are cringing at that, try to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and see if you can meet some new writer friends to help cheer you on for NaNoWriMo.
And if you're not comfortable writing in October yet, if you're still outlining or you're still working on something, you can use those sprints to do that as well. But along with writing sprints, there are also just chat sprints. So there are times during the Worldwide Write-a-thon that are just for chats. They talk about all different things. So if you're not in the mood to work, you can still go and meet people in those if you don't, want to participate in the actual productivity sprints. I think that about wraps it up for our Preptober tips and tricks. Hopefully you guys have gotten something from this. Let us know down below in a comment what you always do every October to prep for NaNoWriMo. Are you participating in NaNoWriMo this year? Let us know in a comment so that we can cheer you on. And hopefully we will see you in either our Sunday sprints or the Worldwide Write-a-thon sprints, or both, hopefully. That's going to be it for this one. Bye, everybody.
Be careful, you might make it into the bloops.
I always do. I'm not worried about that.
Not right now, mother. Where we... Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Writer's Hive, where... No, not where. We are. Where we chat bi-weekly and... I hate my life. Where we chat bi-weekly and... No. Are you ready? Are you guys ready? I'm waiting for you.
I was gonna say we're ready. We've been ready.
You need to get it right.
That and I'm struggling.